I do think we need to stand up for business as much as possible. Business is facing an unprecedented threat. We've got a Labour Party who've described business as the enemy. And business employs 84% of people in this country. It's the lifeblood of our economy. And in order to get economic growth up, we're going to need more people to set up businesses, more people to take risks with their own money. And I believe we need to celebrate that more.
It's not just the Labour Party. Your own colleague, Boris Johnson, notably dismissed the sector with the words "fuck business." I wonder how damaging that was to the Tory brand.
I don't know what Boris said, but I do think we are in an age where wealth is seen as something that might not have been deserved, and there's aspersions cast upon it, rather than thinking, actually, if somebody's put their own money forward, if they've taken a risk with their own business, that success is deserved.
Your colleague Jeremy Hunt believes that the only way to stave off the threat of the Brexit party now is to embrace no deal. Do you share that view with him?
Well, my ideal option is that we get a deal. And we're working very hard to do that. The Prime Minister is working very hard to do that. She's put her job on the line to make that happen. But I would agree that if we face a straight choice between revoking Brexit and no dealing, we have to no deal. It's a matter of trust. People expect us to have already left the EU. And if we haven't done that by October the 31st, I fear there'll be real consequences, and not just for our politics, but also for our economy. And we're living in a kind of purgatory at the moment, waiting for something to happen. And I think what business wants to see, what everybody around this country wants to see, is for Brexit to be delivered, so we can do all the other stuff that's really important, the stuff I was talking about today, whether it's building more houses, investing in our education system, being more open to enterprise. But we need to get Brexit done first.
A lot of people will find that absolutely extraordinary. Philip Hammond, your boss, our Chancellor, has said that leaving with no deal will make the economy less prosperous in the long term, higher unemployment, lower wages, higher prices in the shops. How can somebody who espouses business possibly say that no deal is the answer?
Well, what the Chancellor said was that we would be better off as a country in all scenarios, and that's certainly true.
Leaving with no deal would be less prosperous to the economy in the long term. You know what the British Chamber of Commerce have said, that they're not ready to face the consequences of no business, of no deal. You know that the City of London have said that you would be staring down the precipice and you had to avoid making no deal your absolute priority. You've seen the kind of businesses like James Dyson, like Jim Radcliffe, who are moving out. You know that 8 out of 10 finance leaders think that the environment will be worse. How can somebody who wants to espouse the economy, espouse business, who is Chief Secretary to the Treasury, say that the economy is going to be better with no deal?
Well, what I want is a deal. But what I'm saying, Emily, is if Parliament fails to take a decision and we are left with the choice of revoking Brexit, of not doing Brexit and no deal, I would rather have no deal. And we have done preparations for no deal. I agree there'll be an impact. We're trying to minimise that impact as much as possible. But those people who rule out no deal, who say we've got to take no deal off the table, are simply saying they're prepared to never leave the European Union. And we've seen the reaction already of the British public, who voted to leave 3 years ago. People will lose trust in politics and politicians if we don't deliver this. And by the way, I think the British economy can be successful in all scenarios.
You and many of your colleagues are standing to be the next Tory leader. What lessons do you learn from Theresa May on what you would do and how you would perform the job?
Well, I'm focusing on my job as Chief Secretary, and a lot of these things I'm looking at, whether it's housing or education, are all about the spending review we're preparing for. Theresa May has had an incredibly tough job. We're a minority government. She's got the biggest negotiation this country has undertaken for 40 years. And what we now need to do is deliver on that. She says she wants to complete phase 1 of these negotiations to get us out of the EU. And I can tell you that whatever the discussions about ideas in the Tory party, and by the way, I think it's a good thing. I think it's good to be a lively party that's talking about the future. We absolutely need to deliver Brexit, and that's what we're agreed on.
If the deal doesn't pass again in June, is that the end? Is that dead?
Well, look, I don't want to speculate about the future. We've been through...
It's not the future, it's 10 days.
Yeah, but that is the future. And, you know, we've been through a number of different cycles of Brexit negotiation and discussion. What I want is my parliamentary colleagues on all sides of the House to wake up and smell the coffee and see that we as a parliament, in order to retain trust of the people, have to deliver on this huge priority.
Would you be happy to see the extension extended?
No, I wouldn't.
So come October 31st.
I think we've already lost a huge amount of trust by not leaving on the 29th of March. I think extending the extension would make things even worse.
We've seen a lot of the Tory contenders in the papers recently. Would you accept you are one of them? You're going to throw your hat into the ring?
Well, I think as a Conservative Party, we spend far too much time talking about the personalities rather than talking about the ideas. And what I want to see is a Conservative Party that's proud of being conservative, believes in free enterprise, believes in aspiration. And that's why I'm putting some of these ideas over to generate a debate within the party. I think it's much more important what future direction we go in as a party, that we have to take Corbyn on ideas. I think that's much more important than who specifically it is.